The Omega Files. Chapter 3. Omega Files 451. Loch Ness, Scotland. I want you to take the next plane to Scotland, said Al. Then get up to Loch Ness. Oh, great, said Harker. Are we looking for the Loch Ness monster, old Nessie? Jude laughed. Don't laugh, said Al. You are looking for a monster. Oh, come on, Al. Jude said. You don't mean that. This photo came by email from Edinburgh, said Al. Look, he turned to his computer and opened a file. It's a nighttime photo and not very good. Harker and Jude stared at the photo on the computer screen. They could see water and something big and gray, half in and half out of the water. It's got arms and a head, said Harker. But what is it? It kills sheep, cats, and dogs, Aller said. And perhaps small children next. People in Fort Augustus are screaming at London, and London is screaming at us. Go and find it. What do we do with it when we find it? Asked Jude. Kill it, said Al, before it kills you. Harker and Jude waited for a minute, but Aller turned away and began to read his emails. Are you telling us everything, Aller? Asked Harker. Of course. Aller put his hands on the table. There were only 2 fingers on his left hand. I always tell you everything, you know that. Said Jude. They took a plane to Inverness, then drove along the side of Loch Ness to Fort Augustus. It was a grey November day. Grey sky, grey water, grey hills. Harker looked across the loch. It's easy to believe in monsters here, he said. Loch Ness is about 200 meters deep, the 3rd deepest lake in Europe. Did you know that? 100 monsters could live down there. How are we going to find this thing? Asked Jude. Talk to people in Fort Augustus first, Harker said. Then take it from there. They talked to people in the hotel and to people in the streets in Fort Augustus. Everybody had a lot to say. It killed Mrs. Foster's dog, said one woman. She has a house down by the water. The monster came into her garden one night. Her little dog went to look, and the monster killed him, just like that. Killed 6 of my brother's sheep, said a man called Doggold. He's very angry about it. Can we meet your brother? Asked Jude. Ask him some questions? Doggold's brother, Archie, lived at Inverness, about 9 kilometers up the Eck. He was a big man with black hair and blue eyes. He was not very friendly at first. Who are you? He asked. Are you army people? No, said Harker. Why do you ask that? There's an army laboratory in the hills above the ark. Lots of strange people there, and lots of boats on the lake at night, coming and going. Interesting, said Jude. But tell us about the Loch Ness monster and your dead sheep. It wasn't Nessie. Nessie doesn't kill sheep. Lottie said, This thing broke their necks. Did you see it? Asked Harker. Well, I saw something big, but it moved very fast. It was black in seconds, and it was nearly dark. Right, said Harker. Now we'd like to look at your dead sheep, please, and then we need a boat. Where can we get a fast boat, Archie? What do you want a boat for? We're going to catch this thing, said Jude, and stop it killing your sheep. For the next 4 days, Hawk and Jude went up and down Loch Ness in Archie Campbell's boat. They talked to everybody around the ledge. When you see this monster, please ring us anytime, day or night. Our mobile phones are always turned on. They slept a little in the day and were out most of the night in the boat with their guns, cameras, mobile phones, a big flashlight, and the liters of hot coffee. Once they thought they saw the monster just north of Invermoreston. Another night, a call came from a little place called Foyers. They got there at 6 in the morning. It was dark and cold, and everything was very quiet. They sat in the boat, looking up and down the loch. Look, whispered Hawker, down there, by the trees. 50 meters away, there were some tall trees by the side of the loch. There were some sheep under the trees and something big and dark. Suddenly, the sheep began to run. Start the engine, said Hawker. Let's get down there. When they got to the trees, they found 5 sheep with broken necks, but no monster. It just kills and goes away again, said Jude. Horrible. The next night, they were near Urquhart Castle when they saw 2 other boats. It was 3 in the morning. These boats again, said Harker. We heard their engines last night and the night before. Who are they? Let's go and see. Quietly, their boat moved nearer. There were 4 men in each boat, men in gray, young men with hard faces. They watched Harker and Jude and said nothing. Hello, said Jude, with a friendly smile. Who are you? A tall man in the nearest boat answered. Army, he said. Who are you? What are you doing out here at the time of night? We're visitors, said Jude, looking for Nessie, of course. What are you doing? There's no monster in this loch, said the tall man. Go back to your hotel and get to bed. The 2 army boats moved away down the loch. Nice, said Harker. Very friendly. I'll phone them every morning. Get on with it, he said. before this thing kills someone. You can't get near it, Jude told him. This lock is 36 kilometers long and 2 kilometers across. There are only 2 of us, and we are not getting any sleep. You can sleep later, said Arthur. Just catch the thing. We met some army people last night, Jude said. What are they doing here? What do they do at their laboratory? The phone went quiet. Then, what laboratory? The army laboratory in the hills above Loch Ness. The phone went dead. Well, Jude said to Hawk. He doesn't know, or he's not telling. The monster came out of the lake and killed sheep nearly every night. Everybody around the lake wanted to help Hawker and Jude, and their mobile phones never stopped ringing. A lot of people thought the monster was Nessie, but Archie knew it wasn't. Nessie never killed anything in 100 years, he said. This is something different, and it's going to start killing people soon. Look, you need some sheep. Sheep? Said Harker. Do you mean sleep? He was very tired after 10 nights on the lake. Of course, said Jude. Clever Archie. Can you get us some old sheep then, or perhaps we can use Harker. He's nearly an old sheep by now. Oh, shut up, said Harker. They found a good place between Invermariston and Urquhart Castle with some trees by the water, and took their 6 old sheep there. For 3 nights they watched, but no monster came. The men in grey were out every night too. They were never far away from Harker and Jude, but never came to speak to them. On the 4th night, Harker and Jude arrived at their sheep place later than usual. It was a warm, rainy night, soft Scottish rain that never stops. When they turned the engine off, everything was quiet. Just the rain whispering on the lake. Harker got out of the boat and stood with the flashlight, watching and listening. Jude sat in a boat with her gun in her hand. Where are the men in grey? Whispered Harker. Don't know, Jude whispered back. Behind us, I think. Then everything happened at once. There was a sudden noise of boats' engines behind them, and at the same time something moved in the water in front of them. A head and 2 long arms came out of the water. Light, shouted Jude. Quick! Harker turned on the flashlight, and at once the monster stood up and ran at Harker through the water, its long arms going for Harker's head. Get down, Harker, screamed Jude. In a second, Harker was under the water, and then came the sound of Jude's gun. Once, twice, and then a 3rd time. When the monster stopped moving, Harker and Jude went to look at it. It was a grey-black color, bigger than a man and with very long arms and legs. It had a small head on a long neck. It was a strange, horrible thing. A minute later, the man in gray arrived in their two boats. They got out and came to look at the dead monster. "Oh dear," the tall man said, "poor old Nessie." "That," said Tucker, "is not Nessie, so what is it?" "Visitors, aren't you?" said the tall man. "Where from?" Harker and Jude stared at him and said nothing. Then Jude took something out of her pocket and held it up in front of the tall man's eyes. He looked at it. "Oh," he said, "I see. EDI. Don't see many of those. Okay. What do you want to know?" "What is that thing?" said Jude. The tall man looked unhappy. "It is, or it was, one of the Army's new fighters. It got away from our laboratory, and we just couldn't catch it. But it was alive, a living thing," said Harker. "You can make a lot of living things in laboratory these days," said the tall man. "Genetic engineering is getting very clever. This fighter can run all night, live underwater, see in the dark, but it's new. We haven't got it right yet. And it's programmed to kill anything, is it?" said Jude. No, the tall man said quickly. "Not this one. This one just kills small animals with 4 flags. Sheep, dogs, cats, things like that." "Well," said Jude, "that is nice to know." "And where are the other monsters?" asked Harker. "For killing men, women, and children. Things like that." The tall man smiled. "Can't answer that, I'm afraid. Talk to your people in Brussels. Well, we must get back. Lots to do. You know, thanks for your help. Bye." The man in grey put their dead monster in one of the boats and went away up the loch into the dark and the rain. "And what did Allah say about it all?" I asked. "He was so angry," Harker said. "He went crazy. He didn't know about the monsters, or the laboratory. The army didn't tell anyone in Brussels. And Allah liked to know everyone's secrets," said Jude. "Did the army make any more monsters?" I asked. "Not in England," said Harker. "This British army closed the laboratory after that. The Americans and the French made some monsters years later. They were smaller, like big cats, but with 8 legs. Where are they now?" I said. "You don't hear anything about them." "Of course not," said Jude. "People don't want to hear about monsters. They're in Antarctica or in a place deep under the ground," said Harker. "Nice and secret, just waiting for the next war. And so, there isn't an Loch Ness monster and never was one," I said. "Nessie," said Jude. She looked man in the eyes and did not smile. "Of course there's a Loch Ness monster. She's a blue-gray color, has a small head, a very long neck, and it's about 15 meters long. Go and look at all the photos of her on the internet."